Hey everybody, this is the second video for homework 14, 6 through 10. We'll fly through these. Again, I'm going to highlight everything, both the rules and the Venn diagrams, just for extra practice. So let's go ahead and label these. A statement, E statement, E statement. So first term's distributed both and both, and this is affirmative, negative, negative. So we have naming the form, we have AEE for the mood, and then the middle term is E. Those are both lined up on the far right side, so that's going to be number 2. Number 2 and number 3 are tricky because they're just both straight lines, but 2 is when the middle term is all the way over on the right. 3 is when the middle term is always, or all the way on the left in the subject placement. And this figure, when I keep it in my head, I always put these two lines close together. Just a little tip, however you want to remember it. So anyway, the middle term is all the way on the right, so it's AEE2. All R are E. We eliminate all of R, that's not part of E. No P or E. Eliminate that football shape there. No P or R, football in the middle. This shape here. And it's all filled in, so we're valid. Let's double check by going through the rules. Anything distributed in the conclusion has to be distributed in the premises. P is distributed in the second premise. R is distributed in the first premise. We're good. Middle term has to be distributed at least once. It is here, so we're good on the distribution rules. Existential fallacy, we have all universals, so we don't have to worry about that. And then the second one, we have one negative premise, one negative conclusion. So the 1 and 1 matches up, so we're good there. So it is valid. A statement, O statement, O statement. Make sure you don't miss that not. That's a pretty common mistake to write I statements instead of O statements, but so we have affirmative, negative, negative. And middle term, P, P, so straight up and down. Just like this one, it's going to be figure 2. So we have AOO as the mood, and 2 is the figure. So AOO2 is the name of the form. Let's fill in the Venn diagrams. All F are P. Some M are not P. And then over here, some M are not F. So there just has to be an X somewhere in that crescent moon on the left. And we do have it. Again, it could be either down here or down here. As long as we have an X somewhere in that crescent moon, we're good. So it's valid. Let's double check the rules. The subject term is distributed in A statements, and then the predicate only in O statements. So the only thing distributed in the conclusion is the F, and it's distributed right here. We're good. Middle term, P is distributed in the second term, or second premise. We're good there. Existential fallacy is if we have 2 universal statements and a particular conclusion, but we have a particular premise, so we're good there. And then 1 for 1, we have 1 negative premise, 1 negative conclusion, so it matches up, we're good. Number 8, some P are not I, it's an O statement. All P are E, it's an A statement. Some E are not O, or some E are not I, it's an O statement. So we have negative, affirmative, negative. O statements, predicate is distributed A statements, subject is distributed. Let's fill in the Venn diagrams. Some P, actually we have a particular here and a universal, so let's do the universal first. All P are E. Sorry. Eliminate that space down at the bottom. Some P are not I. So the only space that we're left with is this space right here. Because what it's asking is an X somewhere in this whole crescent moon on the bottom. But since we've already shaded out this area, we know it's right there. So some E are not I, X over here. So we're just looking for an X somewhere in this crescent moon. Again, and again, doesn't matter where it is, but as long as it's in that crescent moon, we're good. So this is valid. Let's check the rules. I is the only thing distributed here, and it's distributed in the first premise. We're good. Oh, I forgot to name this. O, A, O, and then middle terms is P. So like these two, it's going straight up and down, but it's over in the subject placement. So that's figure number 3. So AO3 is the name of the form. All right, where was I? I is distributed in the conclusions, distributed in the premise. P is the middle term, it's distributed in the second premise there. Existential fallacy, we have a particular premise, so we don't have to worry about that. And then we have one negative premise, one negative conclusion, matches up, so we're good. Passes all the tests. So next one, no RP, we have E statement, I statement, O statement. So we have E, I, O, and the middle term is R. So just like this one, they're lined up straight over on the subject placement. So that's going to be EIO3. Both of these are distributed. Nothing's distributed in I statements. Predicates distributed no statements. So let's fill in the Venn diagrams. No R, RP. Shade out the football in between. No, or some R, RC. That's the only space left to put an X in. Some C are not P. So we're looking for an X somewhere in this crescent moon. And we have it down at the bottom. So this is valid. Let's go through the rules. P is distributed in the conclusion and it's distributed right there. Good. Middle term is distributed in the first premise. So we're good on the distribution rules. Existential fallacy, we have a particular premise, so we don't have to worry about that. And then E is negative, I is affirmative, O is negative. So we have one and only one negative premise and one negative conclusion. So it passes all the tests. It's valid. I think we're going to go all valid here. So last one, E statement, A statement, E statement. So we have E, A, E, and then middle term is T. It's lined up over on the predicate side. So that's figure number 2. Both terms are distributed in E statements, subject in A statement, and then both down here. So, and then that's a negative, affirmative, negative. Again, you don't have to make all these notes. I find it just helpful as you're going through to just highlight all the information that you know. Then you've got it all there at the end. And make sure to make your signal when you're making circles on or making the Venn diagrams on your paper. Use a lot of room. Don't try to be economical with your with your work. Give yourself space so things don't get confusing. All right, so let's fill in the Venn diagram. No H or T. Cross out the football shape. All R or T. Eliminate that crescent moon on the top. And then no R or H. We're looking for that football in the middle to be filled in completely, and it is. We got some extra information. That's okay. This looks like it is valid. Looks like we're all valid, but just to double check, let's do the rules. Both R and H are distributed in the conclusion, so let's check those. R is distributed up here. We're good. H is distributed in the first premise. We're good. And then middle term, T is distributed here in the first premise. So distribution rules are okay. Existential fallacy, they're all universal. Don't have to worry about that. And then we have one negative premise and one negative conclusion. That matches up. Again, you can't have two negative premises, but we have one and one. So we're all good. So it turns out that all of these were valid. But it's good practice just to go through the rules anyway. Shoot me an email if you have any questions.